Okay, so for these problems, the first one here we're adding 7 rods, 4 yards plus 2 rods, 3 yards. Well, 4 yards and 3 yards makes 7 yards. However, that is 1 rod with how many yards left over? 1.5 or 1.5 yards. So we keep the 1.5 yards, carry the 1 rod, and that is 10 rods. 1, 7, and 2 makes 10. Over here, when we subtract, we're going to have to borrow. 9 minus 11 can't be done. So the 5 feet becomes 4 feet. We borrow from it. And the 9 inches becomes 21 because we have to add 12 inches to it. We borrowed a foot. Now we subtract 21 minus 11. 10 inches. 4 minus 3 is 1 foot. Over here, 2 foot 9 inches times 5. We're going to do 5 times 9 inches is 45 inches. That can be broke down. And how many feet can I get out of 45 inches? 3 feet. 3 feet would be 36 inches. So how many inches is left over? 9 inches left over. So I keep the 9 inches. I'm going to carry that 1 foot, or sorry, not 1 foot, 3 feet. 5 times 2 feet, 10 feet plus the 3, 13 feet. So 13 feet, 9 inches. Any questions on those first 3? When we divide, division is the one operation that we go left to right. Now, some of you may have changed all these into inches. Now, 34 feet into inches is a lot of inches. It's 400 and some. But you could do it all into inches, divide it, and then convert it back. But we can do it just like this. 8 goes into 34. 4 times. That's 4 feet. 4 feet times 8 is 32 feet. Then we subtract to get 2 feet. What do we do to the 2 feet? Bless you. 2 feet is going to be converted into 24 inches before we bring down the 5 inches. What's 5 and 24 makes? 29 inches. And now we have 29 divided by 8. Three and 5/8 actually, right? We have to divide it all the way out there because we don't have another unit to go to. So 29 divided by 8 is 3.625 or 3 and 5/8, either one. Next, here we're multiplying 7 times 7 3/4 inches. Is what, 54 and 1/4? So that gets split up. How many feet can I get out of that? 4 feet. 4 times 12 is 48. So how many inches are left over? 6 1/4. So we keep the 6 1/4 inches. We're going to carry the 4 feet. 7 times 3 feet is 21 feet plus the 4 that we carried is 25 feet. And finally, subtracting with rods and yards. 2 yards minus 5 yards can't be done. Borrow from the 9, it becomes 8. What does this become? 7.5, 7.5, because it's 5.5 yards in a rod. Now we subtract 7.5 minus 5, 2.5 yards. 8 minus 3 is 5 rods. Any questions? Did anybody get all 6 of them right? Anybody not? What's that? The top 3? That's good. The division is a lot more difficult. Then you throw in the fractions with the multiplication. It's kind of a pain. Is anybody really lost on how to do these once we go over more examples? Not really? Okay. Our next step then, we talked a little bit about converting like 7 feet 4 inches. If I wanted to convert that all into inches, how would I do that? Yeah, 7 times 12 is 84, plus the 4 is 88 inches. Or if I wanted to take that 7 foot 4 inches and convert it all into feet, how would I do that? Well, it's 4 inches is 4/12 of a foot. So that would reduce to 7 1/3 feet. We had mentioned a little bit yesterday, excuse me, that when we multiply two measurements, we don't use the dual units. So if I have 5 feet 3 inches and 3 feet 6 inches, I will not multiply them as feet and inches. I'll either convert it all into inches or all into feet. Well, 5 feet 3 inches is how many inches? 63, good. 3 foot 6 inches is 42, good. If I multiply those together, what do I have? 63 times 42 is 2,646. And of course, that is inches squared. If I wanted to convert them all into feet, of course, this would be 5 3/12 of a foot and 3 6/12 of a foot, which is going to be 5 1/4 and 3 1/2. If I multiply those, I am going to get 18 3/8. That's square feet, or 18.375 square feet. And we had mentioned yesterday, if I try to convert, if I take that 18.375 square feet, if I just multiply it by 12, I'm not going to get my square inches. If I do times 12, that's 220.5. That's not where I need to be at yet. If I multiply by 12 a second time, however, I do get there. So what is going on there? Why is it like that? Yeah, it's not inches and feet, it is square feet and square inches. A square foot is defined to be a square that is 1 foot by 1 foot. Of course, that would be 12 inches by 12 inches. And we know enough about basic area. 12 by 12 makes that 144 inches squared. So 1 square foot is 144 square inches. So if I wanted to do this conversion here, square feet is going to be on bottom, square inches on top. 1 square foot is 144 square inches. Square feet cancel out. And that does come out to be 2,646 square inches. So what if I have 3,456 square inches? How do I convert that into square feet? I'll put it over 1. This time the square inches has to go on bottom because I'm getting rid of the square inches. Square feet will be on top, and the relationship is still 1 square foot equals 144 square inches. Now, however, the square inches cancel out. It's the 3,456 times 1 on top and 1 times 144 on bottom. I'm sure you've seen now that the shortcut is just take the number on top, divide it by the number on bottom, and what's that going to give us here? 24 square feet. Makes sense? A calculation that I've used a lot in my lifetime. $117 square feet going into square yards. So in our conversion factor, square feet are going to go on bottom, square yards on top. Which one's bigger, a yard or foot? Yard. So it's going to be 1 square yard. How many square feet are in a square yard? Remember, a square yard is 1 yard by 1 yard. 3 feet by 3 feet. So yes, 3 times 3 is 9 square feet in 1 square yard. If you're noticing a pattern, looking for a pattern here, you'll see 12 inches in a foot, it's 12 squared or 144 square inches in a square foot. 3 feet in a yard, 3 squared or 9 square feet in a square yard. So the feet cross cancel out. This is 117 divided by 9, which is 13 square yards. Any questions there? I want you to try this one in your notes quick. First of all, can anybody figure out how many square yards are in 1 square rod? There it is. Yes. Square rod is 1 rod by 1 rod, which is 5.5 or 5.5 yards by 5.5 yards. 5.5 times 5.5 is 30.25 square yards in 1 square rod. So that divides out, and I get what, 4 square rods? What changed here? It's cubed instead of squared. A cubic foot is a cube that is 1 foot by 1 foot by 1 foot, which would be 12 inches by 12 inches by 12 inches. 12 times 12 times 12 is 1,728 cubic inches in 1 cubic foot. So I take my 5 cubic feet, put it over 1. My conversion factor, cubic feet are on bottom. 1 cubic foot is 1,728 cubic inches. The cubic feet cancel out. And it is 5 times 1728, which is what, 8,640 cubic inches. Does that look right? How about if I had 324 cubic feet into cubic yards? So I put my 324 cubic feet over 1. Obviously, cubic feet are going to go on bottom and cubic yards on top. Which one's larger? The yards are larger, yeah, so cubic yards larger. How many cubic feet are in 1 cubic yard? Well, 3 feet in a yard, right? So 3 by 3 by 3 is 27 cubic feet in 1 cubic yard. That's 27 here. Those cross cancel. Are we multiplying or dividing? We'll be dividing. So 324 divided by 27 is 12. So there's 12 cubic yards. I used to do a lot of concrete work. I do that calculation all the time. Square feet to square yards is for flooring and stuff like that. I'm going to have you guys try a couple in your notes here quick. Try those 4 real quickly. Okay. So for the first one, 3,456 cubic inches becomes how many cubic feet? 2. Very good. 1,728 square inches becomes how many square feet? 12. That's square inches and square feet, so it's 144 instead of 1728. 108 square feet becomes how many square yards? 12. Because there's how many square feet in 1 square yard? 9. Yeah. So then 5 cubic yards into cubic feet is going to be 135. 3 feet in a yard, so for cubic it's 3 by 3 by 3, or 27 cubic feet in a cubic yard. In the metric system, we had meters in the middle, decimeters, centimeters, millimeters, decameters, hectometers, and kilometers. And our conversions were simple because it was all just moving decimal points. If I had 7.2 centimeters going into millimeters, well, that's just 1 spot to the right on my chart. My decimal point moved 1 spot to the right. It's 72 millimeters. The reason that worked is because each spot on the chart is just multiplying or dividing by 10. When you multiply or divide by 10, of course, it just moves the decimal point 1 spot. Well, what if this were 7.2 centimeters squared going into millimeters squared? Well, it's 1 spot to the right on the chart yet, but each spot is no longer multiplying or dividing by 10. It would be multiplying or dividing by 10 squared. What's 10 squared? 100. And when you multiply or divide by 100, it moves the decimal point 2 spots. So every spot on the chart is 2 decimal places. So from centimeters squared to millimeters squared is one spot on the chart. Decimal point has to go 2 spots. It's 720. So we might have 390 centimeters squared going into meters squared. From centimeters to meters is 2 spots to the left, but because it's squared, how many decimal places will that be? 4 decimal places. So 1, 2, 3, we have to add a 0 to get 4. 0.039 meters. Or we might have 0.0083 meters squared going into millimeters squared. You get from meters to millimeters, it's how far on the chart? Three spots on the chart. Good. So the decimal point has to go, so it's squared, it has to go 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we have to add a couple zeros to get 5 and 6. That's 8,300 square millimeters. Well, what if instead of 7.2 centimeters squared, if this were centimeters cubed to millimeters cubed? Now, each spot on the chart is multiplying or dividing by 1,000. And when you multiply or divide by 1,000, it moves the decimal point 3 spots, exactly. So it's only 1 spot on the chart, but our decimal point has to move 3 spots. So 1, come here. 1, then if they add zeros to go 2 and 3, that's 7,200 millimeters cubed. Yes. Yes, it's a power of 2. That means it's 2 spots for 2 decimal places for every spot on the chart. Power of 3 means it's 3 decimal places for every spot on the chart. So we might have 850,000 millimeters cubed going to meters cubed. From millimeters to meters is how many spots on the chart? 3 to the left. Since it's cubed, we have to go 9. 3 times 3 is 9. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now we have to add zeros to go 7, 8, and 9. So that's 0.00085 meters cubed. So what if I give you 270 millimeters squared and the centimeters squared? How many is that going to be? From millimeters to centimeters is 1 spot, but it's squared, so we gotta go 2 places. So it's 2.7. You are correct. Or if I give you 38,000 centimeters cubed going into meters cubed. Centimeters to meters is how many spots on the chart? 2. Yep. But since it's cubed, each spot on the chart is 3, so we gotta go 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I have to add a 0 to get 6. So 0.038 meters cubed. So I might have 0.084 centimeters cubed going to millimeters cubed. What's that going to become? Centimeters to millimeters is only 1 spot on the chart, but since it's cubed, we go 3. 1, 2, add a 0 to make that 840. we have 0.0092 meters squared going to millimeters squared. Meters to millimeters is how many spots? 3 spots. Since it's squared, we're going to move the decimal point. Double that, 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Adding zeros, 9,200. In your packet, on page 237, it's going to be 25 through 42. On page 265, it's going to be 23 through 40. I'll let you have the rest of the time to work on those.